evening, fight fans, and welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, joining with me as always, Mr. Bobby Blunts. We're hoping the boy Whit will be back with us next week. So I was talking to him. He's hoping to he wants to, soak in the Buckley, his number 10 pound for pound fighter Buckley fight this week, and then hopefully come and just talk shit to us about how good Buckley looked is what he was, is what he's hoping on Saturday night. But before we can get to this Saturday, man, do we have a jam-packed show, Bobby? UFC 316, absolutely, I thought delivered. We'll have Don Davis later on in the show. We got to talk to him about all the things PFL. It seemed like a pretty good week for the PFL last week. Some questionable decisions and photos were taken last night, but, we'll get into that hopefully with Don Davis later. But we got to start with the main event at UFC 316. And Merab absolutely, in less time, beats Sugar, taps him out in the third round, and still Merab gets the finish. And Sean O'Malley afterwards on podcast saying, I can't beat him. He's the greatest bantamweight of all time. So, Bobby, I'm going to ask you, has Merab solidified the GOAT of the 135 division?
I mean, the question is basically, do you put him over Cruz? And, at this point, I really have no issue with it. But, I mean, for me personally,
What up, Kev?
The O'Malley win, that did nothing for me. Like, I think we could have had this conversation last time when he had the win against Umar there. And granted, it might have seemed a little early for that, but yes, he looked a lot better. He went for finishes throughout the entire fight, and he ended up getting a finish. But being able to do that to O'Malley does not vault him up. But I kind of already had him in that tier to begin with already. So not too much really changed for me for the O'Malley win. Down the line, if he were to get if Umar were to get a rematch and he would be able to do that to Umar and finish Umar, holy shit, get out the way. But it already is who is going to be able to stop him? That's why they chose not to go with Jan, because they already did a rematch. So it looks like Corey's going to be next. So, he's definitely there. I wouldn't have an argument against anyone if they said they wanted to put him there over Cruz. But I definitely think when you look at his resume from coming into the UFC to now, a 13-fight winning streak, I mean, that obviously is extremely impressive. So it's hard not to put him there. But even though he looked so great in that O'Malley win, if it was another opponent, I might be a little bit more static about it. But at least he, did not play with his food, and he looked for the finish and got it done. And, people said O'Malley looked a lot better. I personally don't know what the hell they were watching. To me, the story was Merab. Merab looked better. And he continues to get better. And yeah. I think, I thought there might be a little regression when he fought Umar, and he was able to handle that task in winning 3-2 there. So, I think he's definitely going to be at the top here for a long time. And, we're just going to kind of have to see when he gets booked next. But, I mean, he's talking about going on vacation and wanting to fight at the end of the year. So, good to have an active champion. And, hopefully the UFC starts, promoting him and throwing their weight behind him, too.
Yeah, I 1,001% agree with you. I thought he looked better. I thought he looked better. He's looked better each time out. I mean, he looked pretty good against Umar, but the striking to me, his striking looked a lot better against a striker in O'Malley. I thought he was serious about not. I was like, he's serious about maybe not shooting for a bunch of these takedowns. He's kind of throwing hands here with Sugar.
All the significant damage in the striking was on his side, 100%.
Yeah. I thought he looks so good. And then he's able, to take the. And we know the pressure, and he's relentless. It is going to be Sandhagen, and rightfully so. Next, Merab talked about, he was on. He was on the Ariel Helwani show, and he kind of said he wants November at MSG. I like that. He could be the co-main, or maybe even the main event for that. That card. I like Sandhagen. I would probably pick Merab to win. I think Sandhagen will be a tough out for him because Sandhagen's really good all the way around. But, man, Merab is just the pressure that he brings and the resiliency. It's just the kid's so good. And to me, he's the GOAT. Like, he is the bantamweight GOAT. Like, I mean, you just said it, 13. You're an exclusive company when you've won 13 in a row in the UFC. Like, you know what I mean? It's not half in, half out. And I think the record for what bantamweights is winning so many in a row. What's that? It's like 3 in a row, like 3 title fights, and this will be now is if he defends it like 3 times. So if he beats Corey, so it'll be interesting. So we got some comments rolling in. Rob Thomas, what's up, Rob? Rob is on another podcast. Rob, put it in the comments, talking about his life, his career. It was pretty. I checked out a little bit of it. It's pretty good. So, Rob, I can't remember the name of it, but if you're still watching, put it in the comments. We'll get that. We'll get that out for you. Mike says hands being tossed around. Yeah, hands were being tossed around, and checking out a jewel, shaking my head always takes forever. Yeah. And Mike says Merab's a little dude's a beast. I mean, exactly. And he's a fun guy. He's a guy that you can really root for. And I think if he can continue to get finishes, more people will get behind him. The UFC will get behind him. So, it was kind of all these decisions. And for him to finally get a finish, and the commentary saying, no, he normally doesn't get it. Now, I would be the first one to tell you that he normally doesn't get a lot of finishes. And for him to finish Sean O'Malley is something else. Something that really, I guess since 2020 when Cheeto, it kind of had that finish, and that wasn't even a real type finish. It was more of an injury type finish. So Rob says, who's going to be worse, the Sugar Show narrative hype trains leading into a fight, or the already ridiculous Corey narrative hype train? I don't think the hype train, Sugar had a lot of hype, but I don't think Corey has a whole lot of hype.
I think it's more just people want to see him get this title shot. And that just more comes down to people also being soured on the rematch, which, I kind of understand. I do think they're going to build that fight as probably the co-main event, just because I don't see, too much heat and stuff. I mean, stylistically, it's going to be fireworks in the cage. But I could definitely see them, doing that like co-main to like Aspinall and Gone, or, something like that.
Yeah, we're gonna table the rest of this 316 talk, because in the co-main of 316, Kayla Harrison, absolutely, she pins what with Juliana Pena. Was that the first round? I have to go back and look. First or second round?
Second round. Yeah.
Second round. Okay.
And she was able to do it with the time expiring. And
yeah, it was already at 10-8. 10-8. It was a 10-8 first because of the point taken away.
And it was either tap or get your arm broken. I mean, it very well could have been broken. And, she got her back down, and it was like, the commentary team's like, no, she doesn't have enough time. And then she just pulls out the limb, and that was all she wrote. Like, she fought like a -750.
So why not bring back a guy who had been smiling Saturday? Why not bring back Kayla Harrison's former boss, our good friend, Mr. Double D, Don Davis? Don, welcome back. You had to been pretty happy Saturday night with Kayla Harrison winning.
Absolutely. And just wanted to remind everyone, I am calling in live from the Nashville Municipal Auditorium as PFL semifinal of the World Tournament is underway. Pergan versus Bardsley. Pergan is bleeding like a stuck pig. We're here. And yes, I was so happy I damn near lost my voice seeing a PFL champion become UFC champion.
Exactly. Last week, Don. I gotta admit, I felt like it was a good week for the PFL, and you guys lowered tickets all for $25, I believe. Is that everywhere?
So that is the new cheapest level ticket price. Obviously, it's going to be escalating depending on how much closer you want to sit to the smart cage. And I just wanted to correct myself. Bardsley is bleeding like a stuck pig. It's one of those nights, It's fists are flying, but yes, it is not 25 across the board, but that is the new uh, standard. That if you want to attend a PFL show, that is the barrier for entry, and that applies to all World Tournament and other competitions that we will be putting on around the globe.
And
Good
no
work,
more,
Don.
no
You
more
can't even buy a
Apex.
water at the UFC for $25.
Yeah, true that, Bob. You can't even buy a water. And no more little Apex in Orlando. It sounds like you're listening to the fans, and then Don, you double down the next day, and you get the PFL app, and now there goes no more issues. We can watch all the fights all around the world.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I had something coming. I couldn't talk about it, but yes, I am very pleased with the app. Obviously, check for updates. We are still listening, seeing reviews. There's more to go, but a lot of work went into that, and there's a lot of gems in there. From PFL fights that you want to revisit, down all the way to the World Series of Fighting archive. It's all there. Bellator 300. Poke around. There's a lot to see in the PFL app.
I haven't had the chance to check it out, Don. I probably will download it. Can I get it on my TV? Can I download the app on my TV?
I should know this, and I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, so I downloaded
Take it
your
away, Bob.
fabulous app, Don. Very clean. Saw a lot of work went into it. And I originally downloaded on my phone. And to my great surprise, when I got home, it was already pre-downloaded onto my television.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Do you have a Samsung television, perchance?
No, it was through Apple TV.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go,
fortunately,
Bodkins.
I was able to enjoy it without the Samsung, but very clean, easy to operate. My only question will be, and this isn't necessarily a question for you, just a general thought. I would like to see how it performs during the live events, but I have confidence because the entire app itself just looks phenomenal.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we're going to have to see the demand for the PFL World Tournament, especially the international fights, is massive, and we're going to put that to the test. Consider this. You guys are fight fans, are passionate. And I know, that illegal streaming is a big problem. So consider how many real viewers we are going to have, all right? People whose emails we have, people whose birthdays we have, right? And I'm a marketing guy. I was early in AOL. That's huge. Round's over. That's important stuff. I don't know if ecstasy streams is capturing people's emails and birthdays and stuff like that, but PFL is, and
I'm sure plenty of ad support to help pay for it all.
Yes, and the lawsuits are ongoing, but believe me, having an app that is pretty universally positively being received, and it's not perfect, and we have a big team who worked on it, and there will be more improvements to come all the time, but it's a game changer. Really, there is not another organization who's taken this approach, and even something like releasing a fight for free on YouTube, it has its considerable drawbacks versus a native app that, yes, Bobby, as you said, automatically is going to be on your TV. So I'm not anticipating any problems. Our team is very aware of the circus that happened when Netflix put on that travesty of a fight between the great Mike Tyson and the child from the Disney Channel. And, we are not going to make that same mistake.
Do you think PFL Africa will that be on the app? And do you think that'll have more eyes than you said the great Mike Tyson versus the Jake Paul fight?
And isn't Jake Paul on your roster, Don?
That is true, Don.
Might have been a little negotiation from me because you haven't seen a lot of Jake lately, have you?
No.
He's not necessarily pulling his weight. We like to have fun. He has a good sense of humor about that type of thing. But yes, it will absolutely be ready, or rather, yes, PFL Africa will absolutely be on there. PFL MENA, PNFL Europe, PFL Pacific. It's all going to be there and going off without a hitch. And Jake, you're invited if you ever want to show back up, buddy.
Okay. Do you call him the kid from Disney Channel when you talk to Jake Paul, or do you call him Mr. Paul or Jake? How does that work out with you guys?
Mr. Paul.
Okay. Don, you had I don't know if you were having some fun or how serious you were, but I enjoyed your tweet here talking Francis versus John Jones. You were getting in the mix of that. How serious are we here?
I am deadly serious. And we have a new PFL semifinalist. But yes, deadly serious. And, that offer, I stand by it. And I'm sorry, I'm just so excited for Alexi Pergran, 6-0, putting on an amazing performance, looking like he didn't even get into a scrap. Anyway, yes, Francis was never the problem with the Jones fight. We appreciate that, Kevin, and you won't have to, thanks to the PFL app. Francis was never the problem, okay? The UFC is going to paint it that way. They're going to say, oh, John was willing to fight for peanuts. He had signed. Francis is a bad guy, okay? And consider the source of who said that, right?
Have you talked to Francis about this? Is he down to maybe possibly do this?
Francis was always down. He's down now. And honestly, he's really excited about it because we are having trouble finding appropriate level talent for him. He had a great run in boxing. Thought he looked fantastic against Tyson Fury. And obviously he faltered, right, against Anthony Joshua. But this guy is the lineal heavyweight champion of MMA. And he deserves to defend it. And, Tom, whenever your contract's up, buddy, let's talk. But right now, John Jones is the wild card, right, who's, riding motorcycles in Thailand, doing whatever he's doing down there, doing anything but fighting Tom Aspinall, doing anything but fighting Waldo Cortez Acosta. There are a ton of deserving challengers. And if he wants to, cross promote, what does the UFC have to lose? Giving the PFL a little shine, we're not competition to them, right? Like, if that was really the case, why not? Why not bury us, right? My offer was serious, and we'll see.
We got some comments coming in here. Kevin Holland Oates says, "Is the PFL looking at throwing a lucrative offer towards Mario Batista after his big win against former Bellator champ Patchy Mix?"
I don't know if they can afford him.
Listen, when these lawsuits go through, Bobby, we'll be able to afford it. And with the ad revenue from the iOS store, from this app, yes. But, I do believe he's still under contract, which, again, so is John, but John's not fighting. Mario is, and he's cozied up pretty good to the UFC, but we'll see, because, there's a lot of negative feelings toward him because of the Jose Aldo fight, of course. And, we would absolutely love to get him. I think his style would work great for the tournament format. And money is absolutely not an issue. But you may have noticed at this time, we're not signing tons of new talent. That is not the phase that we are in at this very moment. We've gotten more strategic, and his name is definitely come across the table in the PFL war room for sure.
John, what would it take for the Francis Jones fight to happen? Do you got to call Dana, or you waiting a phone call from him? How do we get this fight to happen?
Mr. Paul and Dana are very close, and they have been talking. It's Dana and I are, we're going to lock horns, and it's probably not the best way to start that off. Also, all jokes aside, Hunter is really the man, right, to have this discussion with. Dana is, playing a lot of baccarat. He's doing a lot of power slap. He's going toe to toe with Turkey, trying to save boxing, which I didn't realize needed savings. Just ask Francis. But what would it take? It would take John Jones to nut up. Okay, that's what it would take. Francis is down. PFL's down. We'll see if Hunter and his employee Dana White are down.
Okay, I got to go ahead, Bobby.
I gotta actually follow up on that because you have had, in the past, obviously, but your biggest star has been on ice for over a year, almost 2 years, when he was doing boxing and stuff like that. What advice, if any, would you give to Dana White, who currently has been saying that the John Jones, Tom Aspinall fight will happen, but then this Saturday finally came to the realization, oh, well, if he just wants to retire, nothing can I do. Is there anything you would tell Dana from what you've learned dealing with these, situations?
No one likes when you make promises you can't keep. Okay, I've been criticized a lot, and I try, and whenever possible, to be honest and realistic. Sometimes that's gotten me into hot water, okay? But no one likes it when you straight up get caught in a lie. And there's promoting, and there's being, a psychopath. And I think Dana needs to get in touch with reality. There's probably a great deal of frustration there. I've not, for the most part, gotten so combative with the media. I did work in the media space. I founded a wing of the Chicago Tribune, and I understand it for what it is. Right? It's a business, and it's a helpful part of all business. It's not, the PFL is not looking to replace MMA journalists with influencers, because critical thought helps professional businesses. Influencers help, content creators, and that is not what PFL is in the business of, in a vacuum. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah, more or less. Appreciate it.
Don, I started when you came on talking about Kayla Harrison. What's the relationship, or is there a relationship with you and Kayla? And if you what were the words that you might have told her after her big win Saturday night?
I got nothing for love. I got nothing but love for Kayla. I don't know that extends both ways. It's tricky the way things ended. I don't know. I would hope that's the case, but I would understand it if it weren't. I think she speaks respectfully of the PFL. I think we had some challenges personally, but what I would say to her is great job. And taking nothing away from that impressive victory, two things. One, I'm going to put my human being hat on, make a 145, if not a 155-pound division, UFC, because I didn't like seeing that weight cut. And her faith is very strong, but you shouldn't have to go to death's door just to get into a fight with someone else who weighs over 145 pounds, let's be honest. And Juliana Penny's not a big 135er. Two, I'm going to put my promoter hat on, okay? Fight Chris Cyborg.
Oh, could we do a double promotion where maybe we get John Jones Francis as the main?
You read my mind.
The co-main is Cyborg versus Kayla.
Yes. Or PFL style, 2 back-to-back main event cards. Got a Friday night and a Saturday night, whichever. Have them both headline, fill out the card. We got the roster, but yes, absolutely. Either 2 nights or combined. That would be amazing. And this current group of UFC fans, who've come in under this kind of influence. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm watching these fights. St. Louis, he's got a choke locked up. Oh, you know what? And it's a broadcaster's curse. As soon as you say it's locked, I'm sorry, this is very distracting. They've cut to the ref cam, which, trademark PFL. Check that out in the Apex. Whew. I've gotten a lot of crap for saying I don't like fights. I do like fights, PFL fights. Yeah, I think that would be amazing. What I was trying to say, so this current crop of fans that have kind of gotten acclimated to just eating whatever slop the UFC puts out and listening to their creepy uncle tell them what to think, have forgotten that the UFC has co-promoted in the past. Bellator, to great effect, has co-promoted in the past. And by the law of transubstantiation, PFL is Bellator. So it's completely possible. And, we'll see. It will be interesting to see where they land from a broadcasting partner perspective. But, yeah, we're willing to put our balls on the line and, give up the gate, do whatever else. If the PFL, if the UFC is really that scared of number 2, should be no problem, right?
My last question for you, Don, is, it seemed like it's always sometimes 2 steps forward, 1 step back. What do you make of the criticism of these photos and Russell Brand in the house last night?
Before my efforts to call in after the Kayla Harrison win were censored by powers outside of our control to Boys in the Back today, I called in again to speak about this to the effect that I could, because this is serious stuff. Okay. Tonight I am in Wichita, but I'm moving all over the place. And I have not gone outside, save the arenas we are going through and, secure modes of transportation. I'm currently in the mobile PFL Batcave, which is a secure location. No one knows where I am because those photos, whatever, we're working to figure out what they were. They could have been AI photos. They could have been AI video. It could be a convincing body double. I do not know. And, my picture as I represented here today is myself. This is not the AI body double, whatever. I, Don Davis, the real Double D, would never knowingly associate with someone accused of the crimes that Russell Brand is. I like getting to the Greek, sure, but no, man, absolutely not. And, this offer I made to the UFC, okay, no response. A couple days later, someone pretending to be me is photographed with Russell Brand. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but like I said, I'm taking all the precautions in the world. I'm in the PFL Smart Batcave, and we're going to get to the bottom of this because someone has recognized the positive moves that we've been making, the favor that we are currying with fans, and they're trying to bury your boy. That's all I can say. That is all I can say. And we would never, do something like be photographed shaking hands with the Tate brothers, or I'm sorry, Russell Brand.
I mean, I just thought maybe because, Trump is at the UFC, it's been similar accusations. You were like, you know what, you just thought it was a common thing with MMA promoters.
Absolutely not. And that is a good point. There's probably some segment of the MMA fan base, the same people who are saying, hey, Bryce Mitchell, I like what he's saying, who would have enjoyed that. But no, that is not what we're about. It is, that's not what we're about. That's not what Francis is about. That's not what Dakota is about. That's not what Mr. Paul is about. And that is not what the PFL is about.
Okay. Bobby, any last question here for Mr. Don Davis?
Is there a red phone in the PFL cave that calls Commissioner Gordon?
Yes, it does. It is a blue and red phone, PFL blue and PFL red. And it calls the California State Commission. It calls Commissioner Gordon, excuse me. It calls any commission that we need. And man, if you thought the tech was cool in the smart cage, once I get through this mess, we'll do a PFL app exclusive tour of the Smart Batcave because this has been an amazing undertaking. Honestly, if you thought Fight Island, whatever the hell that was cool, and the documentary they made about that, just wait until you see the powers. You thought the secret security detail was serious for the president attending the UFC. Just imagine the position I'm in. Okay, I mean this is next level stuff. This is one of the first recorded uses of weaponized AI to completely discredit someone. I mean, you have GC and Rick, some of my dearest comrades in the media space, saying what's happened to him, and then they're censoring my call. They're thinking, is he dead? Well, no, I'm here live to say I'm alive and well, but I am in hiding until we get to the bottom of this. And it doesn't mean the PFL stopping, right? I am able to watch this live in Wichita, and you got a great fight going on now, Russia versus USA. But yes, I do look forward to being able to go walk freely through the world once again and ensure that I will never be impersonated ever again.
John, we appreciate you always making time and joining us. And, anytime you want to come on and clear the air about something, you always have an open spot here at Headkicks and Haymakers. We appreciate it, Don.
You're a legend, Double D.
Appreciate you both very much. And Patchy, come back stronger, buddy. That wasn't you, and you'll be back. Take care.
Thanks, Don. Everybody give it up for PFL CEO, Mr. Don Davis. Thanks, Don. Don's always the best. Gives us the best. Good insight from Mr. Don Davis, Bobby.
He came out swinging there for sure. But
yeah,
I mean, he wasn't kidding about those prelims. I mean, they started hot for sure. So it's the event's definitely delivering. So we'll see how it kind of a later card, so I can watch the rest of it when we're done. And I am looking forward to that. There's nothing like Thursday MMA.
Excited about the app. It sounds like it's a hit. Let's get back into 316 talk here. We mentioned it, Kayla Harrison. In both, it was so great, the main and the co-main. We know who's next, and I enjoyed. That's how we do it, Mike. We get, Don Davis wanted to come in, clear his name, so we gave him the opportunity, the platform on the greatest MMA podcast out there, right here, exclusively on Headkicks and Haymakers. What's up, Bobby? She gets Amanda Nunes, or she taps out Juliana Pena, and then she calls Amanda to the cage, and that's the fight to make. To me, I don't care. It doesn't need to be at 135. This fight needs to happen at 145, 155. I don't care. It does not need to happen at 135 because both of them are probably at their best at 145.
I mean, I know they won't be mad at it, but at the same time, just knowing how the UFC works, I really feel like it's a pipe dream because, they want the title attached to it. So I really wish they would do it. That's the same thing the company would do. But unfortunately, I have a feeling it's going to be at 135.
I mean, you got the 145 belt. We just dust that off and say, hey, here it is.
Logistically, me, I would not care. I mean, we've literally spent the last year calling a guy the heavyweight champion who has no intention of fighting. So this is, above board to me. And the one thing I will say, though, is Kayla did look fantastic on Saturday. The previous fight, I thought she was moving a little bit slower from the cut, but
how she rehydrates so quickly is insane.
Yeah.
And she talked about in other interviews, like what she has to do to get to 135. It's like 15 weeks out, I have to run 8 miles. I can only eat whatever my chef gives me. If I'm craving something, I can only eat peanut butter. Like I take 2 scoops of peanut butter or 1 scoop of peanut butter. And then she's like chunking on Zens. And then she just had to rehydrate. Like the before and after photos are insane. And then that photo where she's in the sauna, she literally is knocking on death's door.
Yeah, I mean, it's what makes me feel like, especially knowing the Nunes fight is next, that very well could be her last fight. Because after getting that win, I mean, I could see her still wanting to continue to do it because, she's finally going to be getting the pay-per-view points, and this is what she's been working for. She's wanted to be the UFC champion for a very long time, and she's accomplished that. So it would not shock me at all if she had like another 3 left or something. But it is kind of in the back of my mind of how long can she keep doing this? And like even watching Luke Thomas interviewing her, he apologized multiple times for kind of berating her with that same question, but you could tell it was still on her mind or his mind. And the thing about it is she really has seemed to gotten past the mental aspect of it because she's now done it 3 consecutive times. But you still kind of wonder, with the physical aspects. Like I know a lot of people are saying, well, Nunes to just like work the body and stuff like that because dealing with the cut. But
I mean, Nunes is going to have to make the cut too, and like, she hasn't made that cut now in over a year. So it's been some time since she's had to cut down to 135. So like it's not an easy cut for her as well. Now, obviously for Kayla it's a little harder, but it's bad for both. And to her, Kayla even said, how I get to one, like that last pound is in God's hands. So
yeah, and I'm not trying to say I don't want to see the fight. I obviously do, but in no way do I think it's going to be competitive. I think Nunes is going to be food, and Kayla is going to demolish her. So I would kind of still lean this opinion if Nunes was active, but especially coming back 2 years. She did retire in her prime, so it's not like she's that old or anything. But I just believe that Kayla is more dedicated and is going to get it done pretty convincingly.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Let me ask you this: I was just saying, Kayla's fought at 155 I just felt like I want to see him fight at the best when they're completely healthy. Is why I'm saying 155. But I mean 145. I know that they could just dust off the belt. Michael says 100% agree. Bobby Nunes sitting out powerlifting ain't gonna be good. Yeah, that's probably true. I think 140. I would love to see it from 145. There's no reason for them to kill each other when it's the two biggest names. You know what I mean? Two of the biggest names.
The most interesting thing to me about it is like she was posed the question, when do you want to do the Amanda fight again? Like when it would be ideal for you if it was up to you. And she literally threw the ball back in Amanda's court saying, whenever Amanda's ready, I'm good to go. And I think the whole reason that question was asked, because it was another thing of, the weight cut that she has to prepare for. Like she's never going to fight on short notice, it's a 6-week thing that she has to do. So
it's longer than that because she talks about how she has to make it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of really longer than that. Let me ask you this. So I just thought of this earlier. So the WWE is doing like this they did it a couple years ago, and now they're going to do it again here in a few months or a couple weeks. It's called WWE Evolution, where it's an all women's, pay-per-view for a premium live event. Would the UFC ever consider doing an evolution? And at the top of that, you have Harrison Nunez, you have Wei Lee, Shevchenko, and then you just fill out the rest of the card with all female fighters.
respectfully, and I mean this truly, absolutely fucking not. Because I mean, you are essentially throwing away half of your fan base instantly. Because, you know, there are a lot of people that cannot appreciate women's MMA at all.
I
And
think
if
with
you're
those
talking about
four names
billing
at
a
the top,
pay-per-view,
yeah.
I mean, I think it would deserve to be the main event. I still think it's going to be slotted for the co-main.
Those four names, though, at the top, that's, I mean, why not make history? I get what you're saying. Half the fan base would probably shit on it. So
I just, if it was a free fight night or something, yeah, I'm sure they could do it. But if you're asking people to give 79.99, I think a lot of people are just going to look for a way to stream it. And that's not saying that I don't want to see that, the main event. And I totally get what you're saying. Like, if you were to put the pound for pound, and we kind of buried the lead here because, like, Kayla is my pound for pound. I know that Wei Lee and Valentina have been doing it far longer, but I simply base the pound for pound on this person could beat that person. And if there was ever a circumstance where she fought either of them, they would be dog food. So, you know, I'm done kind of delaying it, and I'm going to enjoy the time she's here. And until then, I think she'll be at the top. But knowing how the UFC works, they're going to want to pad those out for 2 events, I think.
yeah, I mean, I don't think they're good. They would. I'm just asking, you know, do you think they should, or do you think it's a good idea? You know?
Yeah, and that's why I said respectfully no. Like, I'm not like trying to shit on it like that's a terrible idea. I totally get the thought process.
I mean, the boxing's doing that, right, with Serrano and Taylor?
But let's be honest, we are glued in for one fucking fight on that card, and it would be the same thing if they did it this way, or maybe co-main if they put the other title fight on.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, and you got the 4 biggest names in MMA. At the 4 biggest women. Those are the 2 biggest women fights in MMA. What fight's bigger, do you think? Kayla versus Amanda, or Wei Lee versus Shevchenko?
Easily Kayla versus Amanda. Like, right. I don't even need to contemplate that for a second. And it's mainly just you rarely get these backstories in the women's division and stuff. And with their past training and how Amanda left the camp after she lost to Juliana, it just kind of built it all. And, you know, at the time, Kayla was still in the PFL, happily making money. But then when she came, like I said it last week, that was the only fight that Amanda was coming back for. I know she said, oh, yeah, you know, I'm going to come back.
I think she knew Kayla was going to beat Juliana. So
exactly. Like and, you know, no shade to Juliana at all. She prepared the best that she could. But, you know, it just didn't seem like it was her night. But I don't think it's going to be her night in the future if she tries to run back a rematch for that. I would much rather see her like rematch Raquel Pennington. I mean, I know a lot of people thought that Raquel won that fight. So if you're trying to do a rematch, do that. But none of this, you know, sitting out on the sideline. I despise how you're number 1 when you lose the title. I mean, O'Malley is still number 1 after losing twice in a row to Merab. So we know it's a broken system, but you know.
So we kind of know what's next for each of the champions, the main and the co-main from Saturday. Speaking of O'Malley, what do you do? What's next? Who would you match him up with? It seems like he's going to stay at 135. It didn't sound like they're making a jump to 145.
I want Umar. I know I'm in the minority on that. I know if people say that, they'll instantly think, oh, well, you're just trying to kill O'Malley off. And I mean, O'Malley is willing to have that fight. So, you know, before you're trying to protect him with the Dana Kid gloves, maybe, you know, you might want to think for a second, like, hey, what would be his closest way back to the title after losing 2 times in a row the champion? And it'd be the only guy that's won rounds against him. But realistically, I think they're kind of going to drop a little bit lower. the perfect thing would have been doing Sandhagen, but he's clearly probably going to get the title shot next because that's what Merab wants. I would have no problem whatsoever with them do. I think Mario Batista deserves a top 5 guy. So why not give him O'Malley? But I will be very interested to see what type of matchmaking the UFC does for O'Malley's next fight. Because in my opinion, rematching him with his Merab immediately kind of goes to show with what they think of his quote-unquote star power.
Activist Specialist says Umar's still better than Merab, and in the rematch, if it does happen, Umar will come out on top 48-47.
This guy's speaking my language.
I'm not picking against Merab. I'm just not. I'm not until he loses. I can't pick against him. Like I am on. No matter who he fights, I gotta pick. I'm picking Merab. I mean, spoiler alert for future shows. Mario and Sugar are teammates, Bobby, and wouldn't fight each other. Okay. So speaking of that, I actually think the next person for either one would be great. Henry Cejudo called out Sean. I don't think Sean takes that fight. Peter Yan we know is matched up, so I do like the Umar fight, like Corey and Sean seems like he wants to get one more in. But speaking of Mario Batista, why not Song Yadong either versus O'Malley or Song Yadong versus Bautista, who's at 5?
Yeah, I think they should probably do Song versus O'Malley, and I would love Umar versus Batista. Like again, Batista deserves to fight a top 5 guy. If Patchy Mix won that fight, they probably would be angling to give him the title shot. So, I personally, what does he got here?
He says Yadong versus O'Malley sounds perfect.
Yeah, and stylistically, that's probably a more favorable match for O'Malley compared to the last ones he's had.
That's why I was in a space with Red Wolf. Shout out to Red Wolf MMA the other day, and they were talking and like, oh, Sean needs to fight Umar. I said if I'm the UFC, I want to build back the star that is Sean O'Malley. I want to give him favorable fights. I'm gonna keep him away from guys who can wrestle or want to take him down. So give him some really good strikers. So why not Song? Why not Song, who's at 5? So or top welterweight or top bantamweight. If you're not going to do Peter Yan, you know what I mean? Another fight with Peter Yan. So I think Song is there, and then you can do Umar and Mario Batista.
Yeah, I agree, but I also think the book is kind of out on O'Malley, and I would expect Song to wrestle in that fight too. Why would you not when, there's a clear path to victory?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I just think stylistically, Song and that would be a fun fight.
Yeah, no, I hope they make it for sure.
Yeah,
and like the Umar Mario, I would really, I think that would be a really good fight. So I'd be totally up for that.
He's activist specialist says, will O'Malley's power transfer onto Young? He has also a chin maxer, and I feel like Song Yadong has a big power advantage, being grip strength. Yeah, Song is powerful. I mean, it'll be a good fight. That's why I want to see it.
Yeah, and you could easily. They're never putting him in the Apex, so like it will be on, probably the 3rd fight on a pay-per-view.
Or it could be a co-main of the pay-per-view or something like that. And especially, it's like December cards usually not the greatest, so I could see that happening.
Yeah, I'd be kind of surprised if we see him in by December, but I'd also would love to see it for sure.
He said he does want to come back sometime this year. Speaking of Patchy Mix,
coach also said he won round 2. So,
speaking of Patchy Mix, I mean, Bobby, I don't know if I ever saw a bigger shithead and somebody shit the bed than Patchy Mix on Saturday night. I mean, you can give him the big old turd of the card here. What's your thoughts, and what the hell was that of Patchy Mix on Saturday?
It was bizarre to see live, but then like watching it back, I was just even more in awe how he at no point really tried to move his head at all. And it really seemed like Batista just came with the right game plan, definitely watched a bunch of tape on him and was just in his face. And Batista did everything he needed to do. It's kind of a shame when we get these Bellator guys and they probably should have went lower down, you know? Like
I think they wanted to move Patchy quickly.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Mario Batista exists. Like literally, he fought a completely different fight than the Aljo fight, and I mean, I actually thought it was kind of comical that like people are actually booing the fight. Like it was pretty much more or less.
Why are they disrespecting Mario too? No, I thought my stream fucked up. I literally thought the stream messed up, and I was like, I must have missed the fucking interview with Mario Batista, because I don't know if I don't recall a fighter not getting an interview after a win during a pay-per-view.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the UFC probably took some of their we signed this Bellator guy out on Mario, who did not deserve that at all. And that's why I'm saying, like, give him a top 5 guy. Don't do this shit where, Patchy wasn't ranked, so, we're going to give him number 10. That's bullshit. Like, they should at least, like, bump him up to the middle there to put himself in a position. Because truth be told, I mean, we're talking about who could beat Merab. Mario's style and the game plan he can implement about pressuring Merab, I think that's the way that you have to try to beat Merab. That's what Umar was doing in the first 2 rounds. It's what I thought if O'Malley had a shot in hell, it's what he would try to implement. But
yeah, we talked about that on the preview show. Yeah.
Yeah, he just seemed a little gun shy. So, I do think that Mario could absolutely be a force at the top of the division. But, like, I'm not ready to completely write off Patchy Mix, but I think I would never, like, shun someone to the apex. But I definitely think maybe he should be fighting number 15 unranked.
Him and Henry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got to match Henry up with someone. But
Henry wants to fight again. Why not?
I don't know, because it's Cejudo. I mean, that would really be my answer. I just expected him to level change a little more. I know he has like a respected coach, but like if I parlay this with the blanking on the name, but his wife or girlfriend, Tatiana Suarez.
Tatiana.
Both of them, just the performance they had, I did not really like what I heard in the corner of either one. Like after the first round, I would have went more for trying to light the fire instead of, that was a good round, Patchy. It just did not seem like it. And he kind of like led on to, well, you got to show the level change and stuff, which is great. But I don't know, like maybe because everyone was saying like, this is not the Patchy that we see. Like, I disagree with that. Like, we saw performances like this from him in the PFL. So they
were just maybe a little lesser talent, and he was able to win those fights,
Yeah, and like I'm definitely guilty for underestimating Batista, who obviously did his homework and just implemented the perfect game plan. And I mean, it looked like just Patchy won. I personally did not give him 1 round. I don't know about you.
No, I
mean, that was an easy 30-27.
Yeah, agreed. Real quick, Activist Special says, is this a Bellator problem? Was Patchy too old, or is Mario that guy? Patchy's not too old. He's only like 26 or something like that. He's still relatively pretty young. He's not even, or maybe he's right at 30. But he's relatively.
To answer his question, I think Mario is just that guy.
Yeah, Mario's kind of proven he's pretty good. Let's see. He says, let's talk about Asakura. I feel like he's going to be a champ material after Pantoja if his reign does come to an end, or if they rematch. He's going to have to win 2 or 3 in a row here. I mean, they threw him to the Wolf, and the Wolf ate him up.
I'm kind of surprised they haven't booked him more. I know they have something cooking, but that division is just crazy. I mean, case in point, look at Joshua motherfucking Van.
Yeah,
Like, had a phenomenal performance, got the finish, and now is fighting Raw Dog at International Fight Week on short notice. Like, that kid is hungry. And then you got Asakura, who lost definitively to Pantoja and is still yet to fight. So
yeah, in
that
December.
division,
Yeah,
more than any, has activity. So he's going to definitely have to take a few numbers to get back in that conversation.
yeah.
But I'm excited to see him fight again for sure.
Kevin Holland had a nice win. He's able to put down Vincent Luque. What do you make? Kind of, he called out Colby Covington next. I don't mind that fight actually.
I mean, I'd really have no issues with it. And I think I just, for the time being, can never pick Kevin Holland because it seems like if I go against him, he'll just have a phenomenal performance. Luque did look a little worn in the tooth there, but I don't want to take anything away from Holland because he really had, the striking was there. And the second they went down, he knew that choke was there, and he got Luque out of there pretty convincingly. So if they want to do the Kobe fight, I'd really have no issue with it. But I don't know. I'd be a little surprised if we actually got it. But the book is out. Like, please just stay at 170. Like, do not take the short notice fight at 185. Like, just keep ripping them off at 170. And, if you want to just fight vets and stuff, I completely get it. The paycheck's probably all the same. So, I selfishly would love to see Holland versus Carlos Prates. But, Holland even shut that down on, Fight Week. And I don't know, that one kind of surprised me. Like, you see how good his jiu-jitsu is. Like, I would figure Holland would be itching for a fight.
I think he's playing. I think he's playing. He doesn't. He wants to play like he doesn't. He's not taking it serious. And I've always kind of thought if Kevin could just dial it in and really take the game serious, he could be an elite guy, especially at 170. I think there's a lot of great fights that he's ranked now. He got ranked. He's re-ranked again at 14. Him and Jeff Neal would be a good one. Another veteran right there. But I don't mind Colby. I mean, he fights Colby and wins. He's Colby's number 9. So
I don't no comment on that. Like, rankings are like, what was he when he fought Buckley? Was he like 3 or was
he was up there. He was like in the top 5.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess it's just that slow slip off the mountain. I don't know. He's doing the whole tough thing. So he's been at the PI and stuff. So I'm kind of wondering when the next fight's going to be. But I've always wondered are they saving him in the back pocket to headline some fight night, similar how they did with Buckley. Or are we gonna, see him on the pay-per-view? But I absolutely would not sneeze at Kobe versus Holland. I would just be very surprised if that's the direction that the UFC went.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Holland says he wants to fight. He loves to be inactive. I feel like we're getting 2020 Kevin Holland all over again. Like the reasons you really like the guy, he fights often. He's a good fighter. He's fun to watch. He's a fighting. It's like that feel good Kevin Holland is back from 2020, which kind of made you a fan of him.
Yeah, and he definitely seems to be a lot more. I don't want to say locked in because he always kind of acts the same, but it's just I don't know. When he's in the cage talking to his opponent, because he was talking shit to Luque the entire time.
Yeah.
That really seems to be when he's flowing and stuff like that. And so, if he wants to get back in there, I know they'll probably book him on something. I mean, he was hinting at coming back on International Fight Week, but then I think he was kind of trolling with that too. So it's really hard to book him down, but he's at that point where the UFC has him in the back pocket where they know they'll put him on. He almost always is on the main card of a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So
it is. Let's move to this Saturday night. We are live from Atlanta, Georgia, headlined by none other than Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley. This card's actually pretty. I like this card. Like, it's a good fight night card, Bob. You got Rosnan Menouras versus Miranda Maverick on this card as well. That's almost very top. It's like both the main and the co-main. You have two old vets, two former champions taking on two young up-and-comers, both from Missouri, by the way, represent. You got Edmund Shabazian versus Andre Petrosky. Cody Garbrandt makes his return on the card. Cody Brundridge, Alonzo Minifield, Paul Craig is on the card. Michael Chiesa, Malcolm Wellmaker.
I'm bummed we lost the Jourdain fight earlier in the week. That I mean, I know they've already done the opponent swap out, but that was the prelim I circled that I was most thirsty for. But this is legitimately exhibit A for when people want to ask, why do you complain about these soulless Apex cards? It's because of cards like this, motherfucker. Like, literally, this thing could be a pay-per-view with how it looks. Like, I don't mean that literally.
3 years ago, when Rose and Usman were the champion, it was that you'd been like, this is a banging pay-per-view.
Exactly. And I guess I just put that in my head that Whitman's probably going to be doing some double dipping because he's got an event back to back. So that should be interesting. But I am extremely excited for Atlanta. It might sound kind of coy, especially since last week delivered, but I'm a hell of a lot more excited for this weekend than I was last weekend, just because this main event, I just feel like it means a lot more. Like, it has a lot more stakes. 170 is on fire. So, I cannot wait for this Saturday.
Yeah, so let's get into the main event real quick here. It's Usman versus Buckley. I'm looking at Usman here, and the last time he fought at welterweight was 2022, August of 20th. The last time he fought, he had a win, was November 6th, 2021. The last time he was in a non-title fight at welterweight, I guess really the last time it was a non-title fight at welterweight. Was Rafael Dos Anjos, RDA, November 30th, 2018, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild. A lot of times the inactivity would shock me too, but also knowing Usman, it might have kind of played to his advantage a little here. But at the same time, he has a very tall task. I mean, Buckley has been on quite a tear. And this definitely is kind of the old versus the new, they're kind of cycling out a lot of these guys that have been sitting at the top of the division and not moving too much. But at the same time, this is the one matchup that gives me pause because we're talking about the same Kamaru Usman who literally came off the couch and almost beat Chimaev on short notice. So Usman always seems to be game. And I mean, he's been trading and stuff. So it's like I said, I feel like this fight has a lot of stakes, even though Usman hasn't fought in a while.
Yeah, you mentioned Buckley being on a run. Ever since he's undefeated at welterweight. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row for Joaquin Buckley. So he hasn't lost since he went down to welterweight. He's looked good, explosive. We know he has the hands. Kamaru Usman is plus 240. I mean, that's the juice worth the squeeze, really, to me. If you're I'm not probably gonna pick Usman, but I would probably throw some money on him.
Yeah, in a way, I kind of understand the line as well, but I know that definitely looks tasty. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I still think Buckley gets a bad rap from being finished by Kevin Holland. And a lot of fans are unable to put into perspective that these guys actually get better and train. I mean, he
Yeah.
didn't even have a team for that fight. Now he has a team that is completely built around him and, is a big part of, this winning streak that he's on. And 170 definitely seems like the division for him. Like you said, he's been undefeated, but now he's at that like point where it's going to get very, very interesting. I mean, there's not an easy out in 1 through 5 at 170. And, in a normal circumstance, you can almost say like he probably could get a title shot next. But knowing that Islam is absolutely next, Buckley has already put out that he would take another fight after this because he wants to stay active and keep winning. And, you just kind of got to tip your hat to that when there are a lot of these guys that get to that top position and they're like, I will only fight for the title next. Absolutely not.
I think you mentioned like the old guard kind of versus the new guard. I think the old guard was, especially at 170, they would do that, right? Kind of squat on their spot. And where I feel like a lot of these newer guys, like you hear them talk like, hey, I'll fight this guy. They're willing to fight everybody to kind of figure it out.
Yeah. You got like Gary and Brady that you could easily call a number one title fight. And not to mention, Shavkat, who should more or less be next, or he needs just one more. And, then you got Bilal right there. That would be a very difficult fight. So, I mean, it's just so stacked at the top. It's almost like I can't get these fights fast enough.
Yeah, Usman, real quick, he was on his podcast and he kind of said he wants to fight, wants to win. If he wins this fight, and then he'll fight, I think he said he'd fight Islam and then he'd move up to middleweight and fight DDP. First of all, that's 3 fights. Like, you're going to have to be a little bit more active than what you've been the last few years.
Yeah, and I would just go back to how impressed I was with Buckley's media day because he said all the right things. And like Usman for me, and like no disrespect because I know he's a former champ, but that just seemed like that generic pre-fight bullshit. Like, handle your task on Saturday. That is what I want to see. And I understand that like with his perspective, if he beats Buckley, he would have a great opportunity to challenge Islam. But at the same time, I think the main reason he's not confident about it is because they have the same manager. So, but I can't blame Usman for saying that, but respectfully miss me with that shit. Like, focus on Saturday. Let's see what it is. And, hey, if you get by Buckley, I mean, that imagine what that does to the division because it's already so loaded at the top there. And then you're going to beat a guy that's on a winning streak like that. He instantly puts his name back in that conversation.
Exactly what I said too. Like, if he wins this fight, he could really reclaim like, hey, I want my title shot.
Yeah, which again is why I'm so pumped for this main event. Like, this actually has stakes. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, we might have our bias with like what we're picking, but this very well could be a coin flip. Or it could just be, the young bull going at the old bull. But at the same time, we know Usman is not a pushover. So that's why I'm so excited for. Like, I don't expect Buckley to have as easy a time as this as he did with Kobe.
Yeah, agreed. Who you got winning?
I mean, I'm probably just going to have to lean with activity here. And, Whit ain't here to get the megaphone for Buckley, so someone's got to stamp down to prove it. But, in all seriousness, like, I just think Buckley's activity and him getting better is just going to be too much. And Buckley's takedown defense has been very good. He's very good at staying off the fence, which is how Usman shoots most of his takedowns these days. So I'm going to have to go Buckley here as far as who's winning. But whether or not it's just going to be a decision or if Buckley could actually get a finish, that will remain to be seen, because like Usman is a tough out, and I could definitely see this still coming down to the judges.
Yeah. This fight, I mean, Kamaru used to be so active, and I think it caught up to him. He's taken quite a few years off. Well, like some time off, to like 2 years, I guess. Here, it's been a while. But I'll say this: like, only like my 97-year-old grandpa has worse knees than Joaquin Buckley. Lieutenant Dan has better knees than Joaquin, or not Joaquin Buckley, but Kamaru Usman. So,
Lieutenant Dan has no legs.
Exactly, Bobby. My point exactly. He's got better knees than Kamaru Usman. Okay, my point exactly. I mean, Usman has. It's like bone on bone, from what I understand. Seems like he's ready, but it also seems like he's ready to go out to the pasture, And I'm riding. I got to ride with the Missouri kids. I'm riding with Joaquin Buckley, baby.
Yeah, and like I can't remember a better like turnaround too. Like from coming off the Holland loss. Like I know a lot of people when they saw that, they probably thought he would not amount to much. And how he's been able to keep winning. But not only that, like kind of really found his own lane. Like, a lot of his YouTube stuff is pretty entertaining and stuff. And I'm glad that like he spoke to it at the media day. Main eventing in Atlanta seems to mean quite a bit to him. And I don't think he's like really going to squander on that top opportunity. He seems like really dialed in. But at the same time, like he is fighting Kamaru Usman, who I'd have to think back pretty far to think of when he had a bad night in the office last time. I guess you could probably say it was the Leon rematch, but like, that first Leon fight, he was on his way to a 50-45 and then the head kick happened.
Yeah.
So it's I completely think that Buckley is going to win, but it would not shock me at all if Usman was able to find a way.
That's the same. That's why I said you got to throw some money on Usman. I want to ask you about this co-main real quick. Here it is. It's Thug Rose, the return. She was like one of the most active fighters. It was and for her, she fought 3 times. She has taken on the surging Miranda Maverick, who's kind of figured it out. She's won, I believe, 5 in a row here from Miranda Maverick. And Miranda's the dog. Rose the favorite here at -235. Again, Miranda is surging. She's won 4 in a row here. So your thoughts here on this co-main event?
I mean, I kind of understand the line, and I think a lot of that goes off. Like personally, I think Rose beat Blanchfield, and the very similar styles and stuff like that. So I could see, Rose kind of nailing down that perfect game plan to get the fight. But at the same time, Miranda is young, and it's kind of obvious what she wants to do. But I kind of wonder, like Blanchfield, is she going to be able to set up the striking to actually implement the wrestling? Because, we've seen time and time again, like Rose is always well prepared. And I think in her last fight, if I'm not mistaken, Whitman was not in her corner at all.
No, it was just Pat Barry.
Yeah, so I'm very curious if she might not need.
Miranda's getting trained by. I think she's on. Isn't is it Team Elevation, right? That's Trevor Whitman's team?
I mean, Trevor like trains a small amount of fighters. Like
Yeah, she's on Elevation Fight Team, so I was thinking that was Trevor.
Yeah,
but maybe not.
like he brought in Sandhagen was like his newest one to bring in and stuff like that, and I don't know. I think Rose like at the end will probably just be too technical for Miranda, but you know, if she is able to get the takedown, she might have a shot there. But I think Rose's footwork is just going to be too clean to really win a decision for Miranda.
Yeah, I like both fighters. I really do. Just as people and who they are. There's probably not a more like just the way she conducts herself in Thug Rose. You know, I just rewatched the Rose versus Jen Chaychek fight. You know what I mean? And like that crazy build up. I think that the anniversary was just happened to that fight, and somebody posted it not too long ago. But I like Miranda too. And once again, she's from Missouri, baby. So I got to ride with the Missouri kids. So I just wanted to get that out there. I mean, this fight has a little bit of, like I said, has a little bit of everything. I mean, Edmund Shamazian versus Andre Petrosky. You know, Cody Garbrandt makes his return. He's a dog on the card, plus 170. New look, you know, new look, Cody. I mean, it's crazy to think, you know, it's like that guy, like there still may never have been more of a peak fighter for one night, one performance than Cody Garbrandt versus Cruz, and then just a complete fall off the face of the planet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the top of all those divisions are nuts. And I mean, obviously this was some time ago, but yeah, time goes by pretty quick.
Yeah. Also, Ricky Simone's on the card as well. I wanted.
Yeah, he was supposed to fight Jourdain, so like that's like easily my most favorite prelim. But you know, they got him a decent opponent swap out, and then you got a Wellmaker on the card too.
Yeah,
so they got like the hometown local Atlanta talent, so that should be good.
He's taking on Chris Moutinho. How about Wellmaker minus 2,500?
Literally a year. That's wild.
I mean, that's wild. Chris Moutinho is plus 900 in that on that card. So
don't put that in your parlay.
Yeah. Ricky Simone, he's the one. Is it? Am I thinking he beat Rob right, or Merab? Is it him that beat Merab?
Man, I'm not sure. His last performance, I know we thought that he was gonna struggle, and he beat the fuck out of that dude.
Bashart, yeah.
Yeah, so he's coming off a hot win and probably is looking to keep that.
Yeah, he was the last person to beat Merab.
That's wild.
Yeah. Back in 2018, Ricky Simone. Yeah, he just tweeted. I was thinking the same because he tweeted the picture of Ariel Adesanya. It was like, I beat that guy one time, and then he retweeted, headed to the bar.
Oh yeah.
I won.
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean, hey, at least you got a good sense of humor about it. So, I mean, this card is. I'm excited. Saturday. It's a little late card for a fight night, 9:00 my time. So. A little late. That's for the main card. That's usually when the pay-per-view starts. So
not as late as an 11 p.m. PFL fight. So you're still in good standing.
Through that. But you got anything else before we get out of here, Bobby?
No, I think that probably all covers it. I don't think there's a reason to pick up the comments that Dana said about the John Jones fight and stuff. But I will just leave with a parting thought. what I said a few weeks back, that this reminds me of the Khabib situation. Well, now we got the final reveal of that. So I don't even know how you could deny that now. But to quote Dana White, we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see how it plays out. And we'll talk about it all right here on Head Kicks and the Haymakers. We'll be back hopefully Wednesday night next week. But if not, we'll make it work and come back on Thursday. But we should be back at our normal time, 8 o'clock Wednesday. Other than that, folks, be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. From our guy Bobby Blunt, I'm Bodkins. Hopefully the boy Whit will be back with us next week. Shout out to our guy Don Davis for coming back on the pod. Other than that, folks, we'll see you next week. Enjoy the fights.
Got a good one.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.